We had one patient come in, and she had gained 100 pounds in just a few months. And her doctors in town were, oh, you're just getting fat, go on a diet. Our doctor sees her, you're in heart failure. You know?
Wow.
I mean, it's like, how do you fuck up that bad? It's so crazy when you hear these stories and these things come through. So you say, it gives you a chance to fix that and take care of that. And that's the family legacy. We've been in medicine for 70 years as a family. And
I never
when
knew that.
our family started medicine, there was no Medicare and Medicaid. Doctor had a direct relationship with the patient. Insurance companies didn't have any power. The majority of clinics were doctor owned and operated. Now, private equity groups and large hospital groups own most of medicine. Insurance mandates standard of care. Everything is hyper bureaucratic. Every doctor is terrified to actually practice medicine. There's a ton of uncompensated stuff in medicine. Standard of care is terrible. And so it's just not the system that the family signed up for. It's not the system that people become a doctor to be. So the fact that we get to return to normal medicine and not chase RVUs or any of these other things and actually take care of people and improve public health, it's a heck of a lot of fun. And also it's super challenging because it's a different set of problems in the blockchain space. It's an old industry that's well understood with a lot of rules and regulation and a conservative nature about it. In the crypto space, it's a new frontier industry, not a lot of rules, and everybody's aggressive as hell. So we
Right.
were always the conservative one in the crypto industry, and now we're the rebels
You're the rebels. Yeah.
in the healthcare industry. It's like, it's amazing how you could be the same person, but be a rebel and a conservative at the same time. It's pretty
Right.
crazy.
So that's all good news. I assumed as much. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you're familiar with Rashad Evans, former UFC champ. I got him into Cardano fairly recently, a few months ago, and every once in a while he'll drop me a text and say, "Hey, what about this? And what do you think about that?" And at some point, I'm going to have him on, and we're going to do some edumacation on Cardano and blockchain overall to help Rashad out and a lot of his videos. He's a good dude, though. He's a very good dude. He was one of my favorite fighters back in the day. I'd actually met him years ago, and he says he remembered, but I doubt it. But anyway, yeah. What I guess and I'm curious what your take is on everything that just happened. Like, do you have a take? Is there anything that you might be familiar with or know that maybe we don't? Because I'm still befuddled by the whole thing. And
you're talking about the collapse?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much happened so quickly, and it seems like there's a different narrative anywhere you look.
So what happens with these bundled products is that you get a market that's too interconnected and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. And then one little thing causes a domino effect. We saw this in 2008 where you had all these dark pools trading and people didn't realize there was all these CDSs and because there wasn't a consolidated book, it became really hard to know that people were over leveraged. So when one thing failed, it created cascading failure throughout the entire market. So here's what happened. Trump tweets something, it destroys the market temporarily. Bunch of guys who are on the long side get liquidated, but they have to force sell, and then it lowers the price. Then another bunch of long guys get liquidated. Then another bunch of long guys get liquidated. And then they just walk the book. You got $40 billion in liquidations. But nobody planned this, so they're not selling in a strategic way, like a TWAP or through OTC or something like. It's a forced, in some cases, algo liquidation. They're selling best available price, and so when the book runs out of liquidity, you're done. So Bitcoin had liquidity, so they just took it on the chin. They're like, whatever, it's Tuesday. But a lot of these smaller cap coins, they had like a $200-300 million buffer. And once that buffer is gone, then boom, it collapses 20%, 30%, 40%. Now you have a rebound. You notice how the markets came back up and that rebounds there. The problem is they don't come back to the place where we started. They come to a slightly different plateau, and you got to rebuild that liquidity. You got to rebuild the interest, and you kind of walk the book back up. So a full recovery takes about 6 to 12 weeks after something like this happens. And if you have no good news, now if you have good news like clarity is passing, things look good. Why were so many people long? They were long because there was a belief in the market that the Clarity Act was going to pass in October, November. So people said, well, hang on a second here. If Clarity passes, that means every institutional player and the Mag 7 can enter the space. It's like billions of new users, trillions of new dollars, cocaine and hookers forever. People are like, this is going to be the Giga Chad bull run.
Right.
And so if everybody's timing that, they're expecting a 50-60% rise in the markets overall within like a 6-week band. So they went hyper long. They didn't go just like slight long. They went long on leverage. Then all of a sudden, the government shutdown and the Democrats doing their thing slowed down clarity. Combine that with concerns over a trade war with China and the markets getting hammered and liquidity exiting there, those two factors together created a cascade that damaged everything. Now there are some open questions like, well, wait a minute, we saw some shorts come in a very suspicious timing,
Right.
with some very suspicious market mechanics. That shit happens. CoffeeZilla's got a great a podcast he just did on it, and you can watch that episode, and he can
I
kind of
just
follow.
started watching that actually.
Yeah,
I like him. Yeah.
and and that's what happens when you got a leaky ship. Okay, if you got a situation where the people making big decisions talk in too large of a circle, some people overhear that and they take advantage of it. But
Right.
those are scavengers, those aren't predators, okay? They take advantage of a direction, but they don't cause the direction.
Right.
The direction's caused by big ticket things. And as long as Trump is tweeting, I'm going to enter a trade war with the largest economy in the world, and we're going bare knuckles with these guys, the S&P and everything else is going to get hit. Because it's so hard to know what's going on in the economy if the factories of the world are now made inaccessible to you. It I got it with my brother, a small business called Hosk Brew, just as an example. Okay. And we manufacture Nintendos and Nintendo games, all this retro gaming stuff. It's like homebrew for Nintendo. Okay, so we have no idea if it's a profitable business or it's a business in the red when Trump does this.